It's said that Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck are getting a divorce due to crazy demands and rules Jen has set up for Ben. She's put him on a strict diet, doesn't let him speak to women, and she wants to force him to have a baby. Now everyone is appalled at how controlling she is and is happy that Ben is finally getting out. You see, back in May, Ben moved out of their Beverly Hills home and has been staying in a house in Brentwood. He's also been seen occasionally without his wedding ring on. Now on the other side, J-Lo ended up canceling her world tour to spend time with her family and friends, aka to work on her marriage with Ben. But the pair have not been spotted together too much though. They didn't spend Mother's Day together, and Ben did not attend the Met Gala that Jennifer was a co-chair at. Now when they were spotted together at Ben's son's basketball game, things were awkward between the two. They were caught by Paps embracing and trying to share a kiss, but it was just so awkward and weird. Now J-Lo has also been posting some content on her social media that has raised some eyebrows about betrayal and moving on. Not to mention that the couple have put their $60 million mansion up for sale, which isn't a good sign at all. So what will happen to Bennifer? It seems like no one really knows. Now we have Justin Timberlake being arrested. Back in June, Justin Timberlake got arrested for driving under the influence. Sources connected to law enforcement told TMZ that Justin was at the American Hotel partying, and almost immediately after he left and began driving, he blew a stop sign. Now cops saw that and began to follow him, and it's then been said that Justin began swerving and the cops pulled him over. TMZ sources say cops performed a field sobriety test and asked Justin to do a breathalyzer test, but he refused. As for the traffic stop, law enforcement sources said cops observed Justin glassy-eyed, and they say they smelled alcohol on his breath. They said that he failed the field sobriety test when asked to do a one-leg stand and walk and turn. Now it's also been said that several of Justin's friends came on the scene and tried to convince the cops to cut him a break, but they refused. Now in the end, Justin was handcuffed and arrested, and the whole incident was recorded on a police officer's body cam. He was then charged with 1 count of DWI and cited for running a stop sign and failure to keep in his lane. Now we have Brad Pitt's behavior. A lot of eyes have been on Brad Pitt, as it's been revealed that he wasn't the loving family man everyone thought he was when he was married to Angelina Jolie. An FBI report said that Angelina and Brad were traveling with their children in September 2016 on a 2-week trip that ended in Los Angeles International Airport. Now Brad appeared to take issue with Jolie's parenting during the flight, and they retreated to the back of the plane to continue an argument. According to the report, Angelina said he attacked her before punching the ceiling of the plane repeatedly. Now one child saw the altercation and asked Angelina if she was alright. According to the report, "No, mommy's not okay," Brad allegedly yelled back. "She's ruining this family, she's crazy." Now after further physical altercation between them both, Brad spilled wine and beer on furniture and Angelina. Not to mention recently, 3 of his children have been dropping Pitt from their name, and one of them even did it legally. With all this information coming out, people are finally starting to turn against the star. Now we have Tiger Woods' cheating scandal. Tiger Woods was one of the best golfers in the world, but made a mistake that proved to be fatal for his career. Now Tiger became engaged to Ellen Nordgren, a Swedish former model, in November 2003, and they married in 2004. They had 2 children together, but in 2009, cheating scandal after cheating scandal was exposed with Tiger. More than a dozen women stepped forward claiming to have had affairs with him. Now when all was said and done, Tiger admitted to sleeping with multiple women, which he later specified was 120. Now it was reported that Tiger allegedly had a months-long affair with a New York City nightclub host, and days and months following this report, more than a dozen women claimed in various media outlets to have had affairs with him. Now he lied about everything before finally confessing to cheating in a televised statement. After 6 years of marriage, his wife Ellen divorced him, which makes a lot of sense. After the news broke, sponsors immediately cut ties with him, and he was out tens of millions of dollars almost overnight. Now everyone was disgusted with his behavior, and he's been trying to rebuild his brand ever since. Now we have Amber Heard. In 2022, Amber Heard and her ex Johnny Depp had a lawsuit that was watched around the world. Now Amber exposed things about how Johnny mistreated her, and a lot of people didn't believe her, and since the trial, she's become one of the most hated people in the world. Now petitions Preparations were started to get her removed from her projects, and due to this, she's now moved permanently to a new home outside of Madrid. She's bilingual in Spanish and is happy there, raising her daughter away from the noise, a source said in May 2023. I don't think she's in any hurry to return to work or Hollywood, but she'll probably come back when the time is right for the right project. Now listen, I don't blame her for moving somewhere else. The trial was covered heavily and she was made aware that pretty much all of the internet hated her, and after going through something as traumatic as that, it doesn't surprise me that she wants to step out of the limelight. Now we'll just have to see if she ever comes back to Hollywood or if anyone will ever want to work with her again. Now we have Meghan Markle's relationship with her father. Now Meghan Markle has been cancelled multiple times, but it mostly started when it came to her wedding and her father. Meghan's relationship with her estranged father Thomas came under intense media scrutiny as soon as she and Prince Harry announced their engagement in November 2017. In May 2018, just days before the wedding, Thomas teamed up with Jeff Rayner from the Coleman Rayner Photography Agency in Los Angeles to stage photos related to Thomas's wedding preparations. Then, after the photo mishap with her dad, it seems that Thomas made it worse when he sold a private letter Meghan wrote to him. Meghan wrote a private letter to her dad pleading with him to stop cooperating with the press. In it, Meghan said she felt absolutely blindsided by the pain her father was puppeteered into creating by the media. Now, at the end of her letter, Meghan begged Thomas to please stop lying, please stop creating so much pain, please stop exploiting my relationship with my husband, and please stop taking bait from the press. But Thomas did the exact opposite. Now, he sold this letter to the Mail on Sunday, and the site published it for the world to see even more Markle family secrets. Now we have James Corden's behavior. In 2022, James Corden was exposed for being rude and demanding at a restaurant, and he was temporarily banned from there. In an Instagram post, Keith McNally, the owner of celebrity hotspot Balthazar, explained how James had berated his employees on multiple occasions and called the TV personality a tiny cretin of a human, and detailed 2 incidents of Corden's behavior as a customer. The first account claims that the talk show host was extremely nasty in his demands of Balthazar's manager, reportedly demanding the employee to take care of his drinks so that James would not write any nasty reviews on Yelp or anything like that. Now, another alleged outburst occurred when Corden was dissatisfied with his wife's omelet, and according to the Instagram post, he began yelling like crazy to the server, "You can't do your job, you can't do your job, maybe I should go into the kitchen and cook the omelet myself." Now, after this was revealed, the post went viral and James was forced to address the comments. James said, "The truth is, I have made a rude comment, and it was wrong, it was an unnecessary comment, it was ungracious to the server." And since then, other people have spoken out about his unacceptable behavior. And, to be honest, this doesn't surprise me, as I've always had a kind of weird feeling about him. Now hopefully now he realizes that manners and how you treat other people are important, and now the owner later rescinded his ban on James, explaining on Instagram that the late night star had called and apologized profusely to him and his staff. And finally, we have the college scandal. Loughlin was convicted of conspiracy to commit fraud in 2020 and served 2 months in jail for her part in the 2019 admissions scandal. Now, in the scandal, wealthy parents paid bribes to get their children accepted into prestigious universities. Lori and her husband paid $500,000 to get their 2 daughters into the University of Southern California as members of the college rowing team, despite neither of the girls ever rowing before. Now, they even staged photos for this. Lori ended up being caught in the lies and pleading guilty to conspiracy to commit wire and mail fraud and was sentenced to 2 months in prison, receive a $150,000 fine, 2 years probation, and 250 hours of community service. Now, when she was first accused, she was fired from the Full House reboot, Fuller House, as well as from One Calls the Heart. Now, Felicity Huffman was also involved in the college admissions scandal along with her husband William H. Macy. Felicity made a so-called charitable contribution of $15,000 to participate in the college entrance exam cheating scheme on behalf of her eldest daughter, Sophia Grace May. Now, the Desperate Housewives actress and her husband then made arrangements to do the same for their younger daughter, but later decided against it. After she pleaded guilty to fraud charges, she was sentenced to 14 days in prison. She then had to publicly apologize for her role in the scandal, admitting that she paid to improve her daughter's SAT scores. Now, Felicity and Lori were among dozens of wealthy wealthy parents who were charged with participating in schemes to bribe coaches and university insiders or cheat on entrance exams.
Michael Jackson seemed to have a meltdown after his infamous baby dangling incident. If you don't know what I'm talking about, here is the story. In 2002, Michael Jackson visited Berlin to accept an award for his philanthropic work on behalf of children, a Lifetime Bambi Entertainment Award. During his stay, the pop star dangled his 9-month-old son, nicknamed Blanket because his face was covered with a towel, over the balcony of the hotel he was staying in. It seemed that what the king of pop was trying to do was show his baby to the fans that had gathered outside his hotel, but the public's response was obviously completely opposite from what Jackson had expected. As soon as photos and videos of the incident were released to the public, the media started criticizing Michael's parenting skills and reckless behavior. Ringo Starr, a former member of the Beatles, got in a serious altercation with interviewer Sherry Hewson. During a live event, she said, "He just sat down, said, 'Okay then girls, what are we doing here? Shall we just get Paul McCartney out of the way?'" This was live, by the way. Anyway, he carries on. "Let's get Paul McCartney out the way." "You want me to talk about Paul McCartney?" I said. "Well, no, you're here." And he said, "No, you don't. You want to talk about Paul McCartney." She continued, "He was so angry. It was just so weird. I thought, why? Why? It was just a really weird thing." And then he said to the audience, "Can I tell you all, if anyone wants an autograph, cannot have one, because I don't do things like that." At the end of it, one of the producers came up with one of her little children who was only 4 years old and said that she knew he didn't do autographs, but told him that her daughter was only 4 and she really loves the Beatles. He just stared and said, "Really?" And then he said, "Did you not hear what I just said? I don't sign autographs." Yikes. David Letterman, former host of the David Letterman Show, has made some really weird on-screen moments while interviewing celebrities, and some of these stories are really hard to believe. When he was interviewing Madonna, he stopped the interview and asked her, "Why don't you go and kiss the guy in the audience?" Shocked, she said, "Why are you so obsessed with my love life?" He responded by saying, "Go kiss the guy in the audience. It would knock him out." She responded, "I can't. I've never succumbed to peer pressure." Interviewing Jennifer Lopez, he made the cameraman zoom into a close-up of her chest while saying, "That's pretty good. That's pretty darn good." Ew. David Letterman seems quite rude, but perhaps the rudest interview story has to go to Jesse Eisenberg. While promoting his new movie Now You See Me, the actor seemed to have a meltdown while in an interview, being extremely rude to the interviewer. Out of nowhere, Jesse brought up the often maligned comedian Carrot Top. Before long, it became clear that Eisenberg only brought up Carrot Top so he could mock the interviewer, whose name was Puga, her abilities as an interviewer. "Do you know the comedian Carrot Top? Well, you're like the Carrot Top of interviewers." "Yeah, it's a good thing. Don't cry now. Cry after the interview is over, because otherwise I'll look like I'm responsible for it." Yikes. After this back and forth conversation, Eisenberg half-heartedly performed a magic trick. Puga then asked Eisenberg if he could say her name to the camera. In response, Eisenberg asked Puga to explain what his motivation for saying her name was, like he was performing an acting exercise. When Puga asked Eisenberg to say her name like he was trying to find her in a crowded place, he quietly said her name. Puga then remarked that she would never be able to hear him in a club, and his explanation for why he was being quiet seemed very harsh. He said, "The thing is, I actually didn't want to find you. I actually was hoping to stay alone." After the interview was done, the interviewer said she went behind the curtain and cried. Shia LaBeouf, former Disney star known for his troubled past, turned heads when he wore a paper bag saying, "I am not famous anymore," to a red carpet premiere for his new movie. Just hours before the premiere, LaBeouf found himself sat with a panel in front of a room full of journalists as well as his co-stars. When asked about his decision to star in a movie with so many love scenes, he bent low over the microphone and replied, "When the seagulls follow the trawler, it's because they think sardines will be thrown into the sea. Thank you very much." He then got up, pushed the mic away, and stormed out of the conference, leaving the audience and his fellow panelists mystified. What does that even mean? Our final celebrity meltdown involves Miss Ariana Grande. In 2015, Ariana went with friends to a donut shop to grab a sweet treat. Everything was looking good until the employee at the donut shop supposedly turned around behind the counter, and while he wasn't looking, Ariana licked some of the donuts still for sale while saying, "I hate America," and later calling the donuts disgusting. The security footage of the incident went mega viral online, and Ariana quickly went to Twitter to apologize, saying, "Seeing a video of yourself behaving poorly that you have no idea was taken is such a rude awakening that you don't know what to do. I was so disgusted with myself." She said, "I'm not here to make any excuses or to justify my behavior because I can't. I'm just here to apologize."
There is currently a lot of drama going on with the film It Ends With Us, most specifically with Blake Lively. Now the internet has begun to turn on her, and here's everything that's happened. So starting off, the book it's based off of has been called problematic for romanticizing sensitive topics like DV. The author, Colleen Hoover, also has some controversies, but besides all of this, the movie was made. Now Blake Lively stars as the main character Lily Bloom, and she's also a producer on the film. She co-stars with Jason Baldoni, who is also the director of the film. Now with these two having more control over the project than just acting in it, it's no surprise that there were some altercations. Fans on social media have pointed out that the pair have not appeared together for any press or any photos together. Over the past week, Justin has spoken to Access Hollywood, Today, Entertainment Tonight, and Good Morning America, while Blake has spoken to Vogue, Capital FM, and CBS Mornings. Justin only appeared on the red carpet solo and side by side with his wife Emily and other friends and family at the premiere, but never with Lively or other co-stars. Now according to Paper Magazine, Justin also allegedly didn't introduce the film ahead of the screening with Blake and Colleen Hoover, despite being the director and star of the film, which is a little strange. Unnamed sources told The Hollywood Reporter there were fractures among the filmmakers in post-production, and that Lively, who was a producer on the film, had commissioned her own cut of the film from editor Shane Reed, who was the editor on her husband Ryan Reynolds' film Deadpool and Wolverine. Another source told The Hollywood Reporter Blake's cut may not indicate a feud, as it's not uncommon for a film to undergo multiple cuts during post-production, and the filmmaking team agreed on the final cut, but who knows what truly happened. Then people got really upset when Blake spoke about how involved her husband Ryan Reynolds was in the film. Blake added her own fuel to the fire when she revealed that her husband wrote part of the rooftop scene in the film. The iconic rooftop scene, "My husband actually wrote it. Nobody knows that, but you know," Blake said. Now apparently this is normal. As Blake said, we help each other all the time. He works on everything I do, I work on everything he does. So his wins, his celebrations are mine and mine are his. Now multiple unnamed sources told The Hollywood Reporter that Ryan did not write the entire scene, which is a good thing. Now this could have made Justin upset, and fans seem to speculate that Blake and Ryan may have taken over, effectively stepping on Justin's toes. Now Blake told Hits Radio UK about one clash she had on set, which she said she is not supposed to be talking about, though she did not specify who it was with, claiming they begged her to remove a Lana Del Rey song from the film. Now Justin told Elle on Monday that there's always friction that happens when you make a movie like this, but said that friction is what creates the beautiful art. Blake has been called out though about how she's treated the promotion of this film. She's been promoting the film as a rom-com when it covers serious topics. It's a drama and not a rom-com. At the premiere, her husband Ryan attended, but so did his Deadpool 3 co-star Hugh Jackman. A lot of people claimed that it felt like Blake and Ryan were trying to recreate the magic of the Barbie and Oppenheimer movie premieres last summer. But due to the nature of It Ends With Us, it's just not the right thing to do at all. It seemed like all Blake cared about was reaching high numbers at the box office and looking good, not trying to tell the story of a DV victim and bring awareness to the issues in the film. Blake has also been blasted as tone deaf and shallow after she hosted an interview with her It Ends With Us co-stars and failed to discuss the serious message behind the movie. Blake sat down with fellow cast members Jenny Slate and Isabella Ferrer, as well as author Colleen last week to discuss the new flick, and many people were left unimpressed by the lighthearted nature of their conversation. The four women giggled together as they discussed everything from their dream jobs to zodiac signs, but there was no mention of DV during their chat, and social medias were quick to slam them, particularly Blake, who hosted the interview, for partaking in the breezy questionnaire given the serious nature of the film and for failing to speak about the topic. Immediately, outraged viewers flocked to the comment section to criticize them. "I'm very confused, you missed the entire purpose of the movie, I'm sad and disappointed," one person wrote. "Can you please promote it appropriately?" another asked. Now someone else added, "Blake is only here for the fashion and that's all. She ain't interested in the message this movie brings. Shallow." However, several hours later, Blake took to Instagram to share information about DV, as well as some resources for her followers. She directed her followers to a series of links, which included a phone number for victims of DV, as well as statistics and other information. But that interview wasn't the only time she acted weird during an interview for the film. In a recent Jake's Takes interview hosted by Jake Hamilton, Blake, who appears alongside her co-star Brandon, is asked about how people affected by the movie might approach her in public to discuss some of its themes. "If someone understands the themes of this movie, comes across you in public, and they want to really talk to you, what's the best way for them to be able to talk to you about this?" Now Blake then decided to answer this in what she thought was a funny way, I guess. Blake proceeded to make a joke as she sarcastically questioned, like asking for my address or my phone number or like location share, and she continued to joke but eventually answered more seriously. But that really wasn't the right tone at all. Now several internet users have been left appalled at Blake's initial dismissive response to Jake's question. Now while Blake has touched on the movie's darker side occasionally, she has been lighthearted for most of the press tour. For example, she's focused much of her energy on her floral looks, which reference her character's name and profession. She even says in the film's official TikTok account's promotional clip, "Grab your friends, wear your florals," as she encourages people to watch the movie. Which, is that really an appropriate thing to say? No, not really. Then Blake has also been using the film to promote some of her own businesses. She promoted her drinks company Betty Buzz and actually unveiled some floral-inspired cocktails for the film. She then created Betty Blooms, a limited series of bouquets housed in Betty Buzz bottles as a tie-in to her character's love for flowers. Now she also used the promo to announce her new hair care line. At the premiere of It Ends With Us, fans also accused Blake of promoting her business for personal gain. Now during the red carpet event, fans noticed that Blake discussed her hairline rather than focusing on conversations surrounding DV awareness. Others also noticed that Blake's Instagram bio is a link to her hair care line's profile, whereas her co-star Justin's is a link to a non-profit organization focused on helping victims of DV. Now it's just very two different approaches to this, but Blake's is falling short. Norwegian interviewer Kirsty Fla, who goes by Kirsty, has uploaded her 2016 interview with Blake that was so uncomfortable it made her want to quit her journalism career. Kirsty posted a video simply called "The Blake Lively Interview That Made Me Want to Quit My Job" to her popular YouTube channel earlier this week, and viewers have been left horrified by the 4-minute long footage. In the clip, Brooke is promoting the movie Cafe Society and is joined by her co-star Parker Posey. Now the movie came out in July 2016, and this interview would have taken place at around the same time. That year, Blake had announced her pregnancy at the Met Gala that May, but she appeared to take offense when Kirsty starts the interview by congratulating her on her little bump. "Congrats on your little bump," Blake mockingly retorts to Kirsty, who visibly isn't pregnant. Now, appearing to purposely exclude Kirsty from the conversation, Blake and Parker seem to almost ignore her. It was extremely rude and horrible, and people in the comments called them out. Yeah, this doesn't look good for her at all, and with all this stuff coming out, it's making Blake lose fans.
From Britney Spears to Nicki Minaj, here are the worst celebrity meltdowns in history. First off, Miss Britney Spears. On February 16th, 2007, the Gimme More singer infamously shaved her head. Days later, she shocked the world by furiously attacking a paparazzo's car with an umbrella. The following July, the pop star offered up a bizarre explanation for her violent behavior. "I was preparing my character for a role in a movie where the husband never plays his part, so they switch places accidentally," she wrote on her website. "I take all my roles very seriously and got a little carried away. Unfortunately, I didn't get the part." But in her 2023 memoir, her opinion on the incident changed. She says, "I'd been eyeballed so much growing up, I'd been looked up and down, I had people telling me what they thought of my body since I was a teenager. Shaving my head and acting out were ways of pushing back," Spears adds in the book. After Britney was put in a court-ordered conservatorship in 2009, 2008, granting her father and a lawyer control over all her financial and personal affairs. She says she was forbidden from keeping the new shaved look. Under the conservatorship, I was made to understand that those days were now over, she writes. I had to grow my hair out and get back into shape. I had to go to bed early and take whatever medication they told me to take. Our next celebrity meltdown involves Nothing Compares to You singer Sinead O'Connor. Sinead was performing on SNL when a brief moment destroyed her entire career. On October 3rd, 1992, O'Connor appeared on SNL to promote her new album, Am I Not Your Girl? For the second song of the evening, O'Connor had chosen to perform an a cappella version of Bob Marley's song War. Throughout the performance, she stared intently into the camera, and as she sang the final line, "We have confidence in the victory of good over evil," O'Connor held a photograph of the Pope directly in front of the camera, ripped it up, saying, "Fight the real enemy," before throwing the pieces to the floor. The SNL producers were not aware of O'Connor's plan. During the dress rehearsal, she had held up a picture of a child. Everybody at SNL apparently froze after the live performance, unsure how to react, and that the music producer Liz Welch went from jubilation to tears. The executive producer Lorne Michaels said the air went out of the studio and that he ordered that the applause sign should not be used. The audience remained silent and O'Connor returned to her dressing room where somebody found her talking to herself, quote, doing something between poetry and chanting. Our next celebrity meltdown involves Nicki Minaj and Mariah Carey. On an episode of American Idol, the former show judges got into a curse word-filled fight. Minaj criticized Carey for being too harsh on a contestant, which the Vision of Love singer responded by saying, "I'm sorry, it's just that that's what I do, Nicki." The Anaconda rapper immediately fired back. "Oh, you're right. I'm sorry I can't help her," she said, tossing her seat behind her. "Maybe I should just get off the effing panel. Let me get off the panel." After leaving the room, Nicki was overheard shouting, "Shut the F up! Finish the show, I'm done." But that's not the only on-air meltdown Nicki Minaj has had. When accepting her VMA award for Best Music Video, Nicki made a dig at fellow performer Miley Cyrus. While thanking her pastor and other fans, Nicki said, "Back to this B-word who had a lot to say about me the other day in the press. Miley, what's good?" Speaking of on-air meltdowns, Hugh Grant had some rude things to say to Ellen while on her talk show. After she complimented her guest, calling him fantastic, smart, and all those things, Grant responded back by saying, "I wish I thought that about you." He also had some rude things to say about Julia Roberts while on the Oprah show. Very big mouthed. Literally, physically, she has a very big mouth. When I was kissing her, I was aware of a faint echo. Again, they would try to get Grant back on track during the interview, mentioning that Julia Roberts was a really good person, in which Grant responded by saying, "I wouldn't go that far." Hugh Grant would go on to admit that this current relationship with Roberts is not on the best of terms because of past comments. "I've probably made too many jokes about the size of her mouth. She might hate me by now."